All right, so going back, you're walking balls, started in 2006, you could say. So tell me the process. So you're walking, you're traveling, you're going everywhere, you're a con. So let's talk about your like move. How did you move in the House of Con? Like you started off as a regular member, obviously, and where did it go from there as far as like positions and leadership roles and things like that?
Okay, so I was a regular member for like 12. Oh, what did I say 12? For 6 years up until 2012, I became Baltimore father, and I was like,
Did you ask for that?
I don't think I did because I didn't care for it even when I had it, which is how I ended up not having it anymore. However it happened, I came out as Baltimore father, and I'm like so comfortable with myself and who I am in my house. I felt like I don't really need this position. Let's give it to somebody who needs it. And the reason I said that is because I dealt with the entire house. Like, I dealt with people in New York, D.C., Philadelphia, North Carolina. I dealt with people everywhere. So me being Baltimore father did absolutely nothing. It was kind of like this is something I was going to do regardless. So let's find somebody that can focus strictly in this area. I found somebody, and I gave the position to him. And I told him, like, people, I feel like at this point still going to call me Father James anyway. So I don't really, this doesn't matter to me. So believe it or not, I wasn't father of the House of Con anymore after that time. And I was still always called as Father James. So
Did you want to be a leader, or was it something that
I was a leader.
naturally?
I didn't have a title, and I didn't want a title. Like, I was not one of those people who felt like, find a title for me because I'm doing this. That I wasn't that person. So me and titles was never a conversation after like I gave that position up. So I was still the same. I was just still Lil James running the House of Con the way I was. More so after my father like took his break from Ballroom, because BJ was running the House of Con for like up until like let's say 2014, and then once he like opted out, I was like there for everything. But like I said, I didn't want a title.
Did you still feel like the way that you were still a kid a little bit?
I'm gonna say I did. I felt like me compared to the fathers I seen,
Right.
The Mans, the Rodneys, like all those people, the James icons, and all of them. I was like, this is like literally a kid versus a grown man,
Right.
And I felt like it wasn't my place at the time, so I was like fine without being a father. I didn't literally have any thoughts about it, up until the West movement became.
We're not there yet, baby. We gotta hold that off. So let's talk about, okay, finally, you've been working for years. I would say, especially back then, like me knowing your history, you and Jasmine were both cons, and y'all both was definitely travelers, most definitely by far. And y'all may not have had a lot of years like they was requesting at the time, but y'all had a lot of wins and of the years and things like that. Because I remember, like, both of y'all was everywhere. How did you feel that night? I believe it was like 2015, if I'm right. Tell me. When they had that category to upscale, and it was basically like, if you're a legend, you went over legend. Remember they started doing that then, and you came out. How did you feel that night when you came out and you battled Berlin?
So, first of all, I was so nervous that night.
Did you expect that? Did you expect it to happen down that night?
What happened?
You to be even walking legendary performance that night.
No, I knew I was doing it. I knew I was doing it. I knew I was going out there like with the intent to take my status. I was so nervous because I wasn't like, nobody told me to go out there. I was just kind of like, at this point, it was so I got to the point in Vogue Femme where people was like kind of tired of seeing me walk and win Vogue Femme. So I was starting to be seen as a Vogue Femme bully, I guess. Like, it was to the point where it's like, James, you shouldn't walk that ball. It's only for $250. But once again, let me rewind back. I said I love to vote. So I'm not doing this for the money. I don't care how much it's for, because I have plenty of balls on your channel where I went out there for absolutely nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Pandemonium Ball was a time that I went out there and it was for no money. I knew my house wasn't in the running to take the 10,000 or however much it was, but I still went out there and I voted and I enjoyed it and I won. I don't go to vote for money, so it got to a point where like judges were literally side-eyeing me and looking at me funny because they was tired of seeing me win. So at this point, I'm kind of like, well, I've been around for 8 years. This year, in 2015, this year will be 9. I've been a father before. I've had a ball before. I've won of the years. I've won $1,000 wins. Like,
so you already felt legend.
I didn't know. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I didn't feel like a legend, but I felt like I had done more than what a legend should do.
Gotcha.
So I didn't feel like in my body, I didn't feel like, oh bitch, I'm out here with them, I'm a legend. I didn't feel like that. I just felt like I'm out here with them and I'm gonna smoke them. I did feel like that. But I didn't naturally feel
more of a competitive thing.
Right, more of
Right.
a competitive thing. I didn't feel like when I walked through a ball, like, bitch, oh, he's a legend right there. I didn't feel like that. I just felt like when it comes down to these accolades that I'm reading, like, I surpassed all of these. So, like, what am I doing? Just sitting here? Like, am I supposed to just wait for it? And that was my motivation to taking my status. And when I got on that floor for my 10s, first of all, like, I was so exhausted. Like, before I even started broken, I was so exhausted because this was when you was everywhere. You was everywhere. And I told you, like, Ballroom Throwbacks comments don't play with me. And I thought about the Ballroom Throwbacks comments. I thought about the ball comments. I thought about the possibility of getting chopped. And me knowing that people in my category is probably looking at me like, bitch, who he think he is? So, like, that embarrassment is what I was more nervous of. And, like, when you nervous like that, like, you lose your breath before you move. And I was so tired, like, in the process of my 10s, I can literally, my ears felt clogged up. And I was like, and I just was like, you already out here now, it's too late. So I surprisingly love my 10s from that ball. When it came time to battle Berlin, like, I felt like by the time I even can't walk to the front, I'd already felt like I was looking for a minute. And I was like out of breath, and I was like, bitch. And then the battle was actually long. So
Do you feel like you gave a legendary performance that night, or do you feel like Berlin
gave legendary performance. I gave like child, not really supposed. You know what I'm saying? I gave like.
I don't think your confidence definitely wasn't there. Berlin was on fire as far as Berlin gave like,
she
I'm going to show
really? You. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and like, no shade, she was valid at that moment. At that moment. She was valid. Because it's kind of giving like, bitch, like, Berlin being who she is and doing what she's done, she had the right to feel like, he's not really giving y'all, he feel like he should be out here. So I get that. Like I said, accolades wise, I felt like I should be there.
I think a true legend knows when another bitch is giving it to them. You know what I mean? They don't even have time to take that moment to do that because they know they are battling.
Like, I was like getting up off the floor from my elbows, like then pushing up. You know what I'm saying? That's how tired I was, and I was so exhausted. That was the only reason because I was so nervous. So mind you, once I was done with that battle and I lost, I went to the side to go get dressed. I knew nothing about the in between conversation until YouTube came. So when they was like, when I'm in the back, like about to put my shoes on, I took the boots that I had off, and I was like, I had socks on, and it was like, they calling you back to the floor. And I'm like, what they calling me to the floor to? So I didn't know what they was calling me for. I didn't know they was calling me for a battle. So I walked over there in my socks, which is how I ended up voting in my socks. And they like, you got to battle Dawn. So I'm so confused. But Father Tony, who is his ball, and he is like, you know, the what they call him, the overall father, the father of all fathers. He's like, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay. They like, I'm like, so I'm confused. If you look at me on the clip, I'm like, what's happening, y'all? They like, Bo, Baby Hurricane and Hurricane, I'll never forget. They're like, Bo. So I'm like, okay, bitch, I gotta do this in my socks, which is like in the middle of the battle, I stopped. I'm like, because like my socks started sliding down. So that was like, that night was a lot. It was a lot happening. Not to mention, I had already prepared to walk Vogue Femme with a twist, which was Runway. So that night was a lot. I was dealing with a lot, and like I realized after I watched the clip, this is what the whole in between was before. So basically, if I not be done, I'm assuming I wasn't gonna be a legend. Like, I didn't know none of this stuff in the process of it. So it happened, and the ball was over. So it was like,
okay. So let's get to this because something that you had said that kind of bothered me. Someone asked you. You talked about YouTube comments and like I obviously also Facebook comments and things of that nature. Just comments in general. Have you I want you to be as
I'm gonna be honest for sure.
Have you ever been hurt by comments that you've read?
I never let a comment hurt me because I feel like that's the mission when he's saying certain stuff. But it kind of like has bothered me to know that people would say some of the stuff they say just to hurt me. So like to see comments go to the extent of mentioning like my personal life, my love life and stuff like that, just because they don't like me, it's kind of like, damn, like, can you really? And then I know for like I'm more than 110% sure that like these people don't know me, so to know that they would like make certain comments specifically like, bitch, I hope this really gags him like when he see it, or let me pass this off to somebody else so that they can think the same thing. It's just like, how can y'all be so hateful? You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen comments like, and you know, when you walk a ball, you refreshing. You like, bitch, I can't wait for these clips. I've seen comments go up in a matter of like 5 minutes of you posting a clip, and I'll be like, damn, like, okay, you don't like my Vogue, but I look dirty to you too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't like my Vogue, but like you making like you fired a health read at me because you know what I'm saying? I've been so surprised at some of the stuff I've seen people say, and like the fact that they're so invested in being so negative towards people who they're watching, even if they're not watching the clip for me.
Well, let me say something to that. Like, it took me a long time to realize certain things I read. I'm like, what? This overall toward me and other people. I realized that it took me a while to, but once I owned it, I realized that people, when they see you like this to the world, like, because my channel, as you know, is watched by around the world. So these people feel like they really know you. You know what I mean? Like, they really feel like they know you. They know what you're about. They can go by what they read or what they think, so they also kind of think that they're like, you're kind of beholden to them. You understand what I'm saying? Where they feel like they can give that many opinions, true and false ones, and other commentary. And I've realized that you kind of have to just, I hate to say it, but it does go with the territory, unfortunately, because once you like open yourself up to the world, you give the world an opportunity to say what they want to say, good or bad, or otherwise.
100% bad.
And they do say hurtful things, but I like what you said about as far as that, just seeing people know that they would say things to hurt you. But
because like they say stuff, and I know they know, like they don't know what they're talking about, but it's like I feel like they aiming to hurt my feelings, but like I don't think like no funny shit. I feel like I was born in Baltimore, and like I said, I haven't dealt with the worst trauma in the world, but I wasn't really built to break just from home alone. Just like me being at home, I wasn't really built to break. So a comment definitely that's not true can't hurt my feelings. It's just weird to know that somebody's aiming to hurt my feelings.
But have you ever been to a place where you thought about maybe not sharing your talent with the world?
Yeah. So and you can vouch for this. I've like called you on plenty of occasions and was like, can you just not post my clip at all? Like, I know I haven't done good, and I know this is about to be, like, dragged. Like, I'm about to be dragged through these comments. And, like, I told you, it got to the point where, like, it was even, like, a time frame where I felt like people wasn't even commenting on my performance no more. It was everything but my performance. And, like, definitely nights when I won or I felt like I did good, and I get to a comment and see somebody say something about, like, my love life. I'm like, bitch, y'all really hate me. Like, you know how many times I've called you, like, you really just want to embarrass me, huh? And, like, I apologize to you about that because that's not your fault. And I was younger, but, like, I was just kind of more so, like, stumbling over the comments of, like, damn, like, why would y'all be saying this kind of stuff? And I used to give, like, Caesar, just so y'all know, I used to give him a hard time, and I used to feel like he was okay with the stuff that people were saying, not really thinking about the fact that, one, I put myself in this position where I'm exposing myself to people to comment on my craft or me in general. Not really thinking about the fact that he's managing a YouTube channel with over 1,000 clips and not really getting notifications to say, bitch, they said this about James. Let me go delete it.
Can I tell you something that's really funny? I'm sorry, but Charles gave me advice years ago. This is crazy. I used to get so mad at these fake profiles for making up shit and saying shit. I used to get really upset because it was more of a thing is, when you come from a whole different time, you're not accustomed to this type of shit. So I remember one time and Charles was like, the first time he seen me respond to one, he was like, bitch, they got you. So I swear, it stuck in my head, and I kind of, from that day, honestly, pay all type of stuff, like ghostwriters and all this stuff, because these people only say this stuff behind these screen names, and you don't know what. And I've also learned to be people that you know. And
I do think that about Facebook comments specifically.
Oh yeah, it's definitely people that know that will never. They could be close to you, you'll never know for real. People get emboldened by these, the courage to be able to write and say whatever they want.
Definitely when they got people responding to them.
Right. So I learned not to respond, whatever it is. So as far as like with a YouTube thing, and this is kind of been my mantra, like I always like upload a clip and go. It's like whatever these people want to put on these clips and whatever their opinions are, or good opinions, bad opinions, I never cared because it's also like, okay, you're here to watch the clip. Because a lot of these same people that comment, bitch, they watch this, they're still watching every time. And I've also learned that it'd be the same people if you look. Then why do you go...
Same screen names.
Straight up, like why do you go to click... If it says Lil James on Con at the time or whatever it was, and that clip, then why do you go to watch this clip or so-and-so, another person, if you don't like it? Some people, they go to do it to comment. And that's the sad part about it. So, so you walk into legendary status afterwards. You're still a Con. Let's start talking about the shift from Con